Here we are. Welcome back to the Redshirt Sophomore. We never sit out. We're your hosts, MD and CD today. It's week 8. And we got 8 games we're going to talk about today. We got some best bets and we got dirty freaking dogs. All right. Didn't hit on any dirty dogs last week, but we're smelling them. We're still smelling them this week. We got insane coaching firings. I mean, Trent Bray and Trent Dilfer, right? I mean, big firing news of the weekend. Am I right? James Franklin out at Penn State, which is unbelievable. We'll have a little bit of a conversation of that. We'll entertain it. But the reality is that the speculation is going to continue about who they're going to hire. The discourse will continue online. And we don't need to be a part of all of that because we got some games that we need to look forward to for the rest of the season. Because, again, we only get 14 regular season weeks, 13, 14 regular season weeks of college football, and then a bowl season. And that's it. And then we can look at the coaching carousel and all that stuff that's going to happen, all the ripple effects, all the dominoes of the firing of James Franklin. So we'll start with that, CD. Briefly. Thoughts? Lay it out for us.
Listen, I'm not going to say I'm not surprised. I can't say that I think it's a terrible move. I can't say that, like, losing to UCLA and Northwestern in back-to-back weeks is unacceptable, because it is. It is, and I understand that, like, if you are an athletic director or if you are a person in charge of making the final decision of firing your head football coach and paying a $50 million buyout, like, and the people that also matter, aka, like, how are you making money? How are you bringing money into your program? Those people are upset, and that's the decisions you have to make. I understand all of that. I do not think this will work out in the long run for Penn State. I am very hesitant to be celebrating if I am a Penn State fan. I really am. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. How many times have we seen teams fire a football coach and get immediately better, or have a football coach leave and get immediately better? Like, how many teams that, like, are in the top, right? Like, not that Penn State's a blue blood, but, like, how many teams in the top of college football with national championship expectations who lose a head football coach for one reason or another? Like, how often do you see immediate success? Like, it's hard to remember. I mean, even Alabama, Notre Dame struggled mightily when Brian Kelly left. Like, Alabama, obviously last year with Kalen DeBoer, ups and downs. They were ready to fire him back in week 1. I mean, how quickly things change. I think James Franklin's still a very good football coach. If he ends up elsewhere, I think it'll be wherever. I think he can fit and be very good in just about any spot in the country. Obviously, it ran its course at Penn State. I think Penn State should be forever grateful for what James Franklin did and brought to them, and made them nationally relevant, and, like, changed expectations in this 21st century for Penn State from being in shambles to, like, an average team in the Big Ten to being a legit, like, tier 1B program behind Ohio State in the Big Ten. I mean, a model of consistency, a lot of respect done there for Penn State and for James Franklin. So obviously sad to see him go, but boy, oh boy, it's going to be crazy. And I don't think it's just about Penn State. This means a lot of other things are coming. Decision makers in other spots seem like they're taking notice as well. It is wild, and I cannot wait to get into it in the offseason. It is going to be a nutty December. We're going to have playoffs. We're going to have National Signing Day. We're going to have transfer portal. We're going to have coaching carousels. And the best, the bowl games. It is going to be freaking crazy. I cannot wait for it. But for right now, like you said, we got a lot of good football to talk about. A lot of good stuff going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to tell Penn State fans what they should and should not expect from their football program. They should expect the best. If you are a fan of any football school, you should expect the best. And you should expect competing at the highest level. You should expect goals and ambitions of national championships, which obviously were not achieved at Penn State. But I hesitate, right? $50 million, right? You are gambling $50 million that you can find. And look, this is the guy with the A&M flag behind me right now. All right. Know quite a bit about large buyouts, but you are gambling $50 million that you were going to find someone that is better than James Franklin. Right. And I get, he didn't win the big game. All right. He didn't win the big ones. He didn't have those ranked wins, those Ohio States, the Michigans, the playoff success. All right. Still, this is a guy who won 37 games in his last 37 games in his last 3.5 years there. Made it to a college football playoff game. Won a college football playoff game. Was a couple plays away from winning another one. I mean, I think he's a really good coach. I just really hesitate with the $700 million renovations that you're making to the stadium in the new era of revenue sharing, NIL. Like, that is a wild investment to be making. And hearing the AD of it just say, "Oh yeah, I knew Saturday night." Like, he knew, like, right after the game, like, the result of that game was going to determine James Franklin's job, which to me is nuts, right? Like, I feel like that's a decision that a lot of times you make, I get that you had a large sample size of data and you're making the decision that you believe is best for your program, but I just hope that administration knows what they're getting into, because I think Penn State fans and that administration is going to be in for a rude awakening in for where that job actually stands amongst other jobs in college football. Penn State is one of the better jobs in college football, but that doesn't mean it's better than Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, maybe Oregon, Tennessee, Texas A&M. Yeah, I said Texas A&M, Texas, Florida, LSU. It's a lot of
Notre
schools.
Dame, dare I say
Notre
Texas
Dame,
Tech, Clemson, Miami. I don't know if you said those.
Texas Tech when oil's $60 a barrel. Miami, maybe Florida State. I don't know. Like that. I'm just saying. Like, there's conversations to be had about the actual standing of this Penn State program relative to other jobs. Like, are you sure you're going to be able to pluck Kurt Cignetti? And maybe you do. I think that'd be a fantastic hire, obviously. Are you sure? Are you going to be able to pluck Marcus Freeman? Are you sure you're going to be able to pluck Mike Elko? When these guys down your list start saying no, 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 your $50 million that you thought you were paying to get one of those coaches, sure, and like, settling for John Summerall is not settling. All right, I think John Summerall would be a phenomenal hire for them. All right, but I'm just saying, if you're paying $50 million and the first 6 people that you call all say no because they're okay with the job that they're in, $50 million is a lot of money to pay to find out that you're not a top 10 program in college football. Not a top 10 head coaching job in college football.
Yeah, and it's also, we'll get into this later on too, with like the ripple effect it's going to have, where it places them, like other programs that are going to have openings that are affected because Penn State's open or because whoever else may be open as well. Also, too, like, not only this hiring cycle, but the next hiring cycle as well. When a job like Penn State opens up, when a job like Alabama opens up a couple years ago, like, you have guys, you mentioned a couple of them, Elko, like Cignetti, guys like that, Marcus Freeman. Those guys are going to re-up with their contracts and their buyouts and whatever. Like, they're going to get raises. So, like, it's going to also have effect down the line too for other programs as well. So, like, that's something to think about. It is wild. It is absolutely wild. I cannot wait to get into it. But
well, we got games to preview in the meantime. CD, let's get into Week 8 games right here. We got 8 of them. We're going to start with USC at Notre Dame. Notre Dame 9.5-point favorites hosting a USC team that looked great against Michigan. Of course, Wayman Jordan being out with injury is definitely a big deal for sure. Okay. 9.5 points is a lot of points, though, CD. Am I right in sort of thinking that? I mean, look, I'll be talking about this a little bit, and I'm pretty impartial. And I won't be making a prediction on this, but I'm pretty impartial. I think that line is pretty good, but I think there are a lot of people out there that would tell you that that's too many points.
I'll be honest, I'm with you there too. And even though it's going to be on the road, we'll see how the weather goes. It doesn't look great, which honestly you think doesn't really favor USC here. But here's what I'll say here: like let's check back in to what these football teams are in 2025. Notre Dame is an offensive football team with explosion, with playmakers, speed. Like you want to be playing on a good surface. USC, in a similar sense too, they got some dogs, especially out wide. Obviously, you talked about some Raymond Jordan getting hurt. Eli Sanders also hurt. Like they're down to a couple running backs. Maeva is a very fantastic quarterback as well. But their defense, something I've been impressed with, especially against Michigan. The front seven, their secondary. I expect like the key player or person in this game is Danton Lynn. And what he does, defensive coordinator for USC, getting after CJ Carr, even on the road, and those playmakers with that weather, with stuff going on there, like I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to look a lot different than it looked like 10 months ago, right back in November when they played and Notre Dame scored a bunch of points, had a couple pick sixes. Maeva was still learning the offense. It was a much different USC football team. But this is going to be fantastic. This means so much for both these schools. Obviously, it's a rivalry game, but it's also like for this season, like Notre Dame has 2 losses, and I think a lot of people wrote them out right away, and then they started playing well, and teams started losing. It's like, okay, well, we'll bring them back in the conversation. They lose this game here. If you look at their schedule the rest of the way, boy, oh boy, you don't see many resume builders. And I'm not going to count anyone out in the playoffs because I think we learned from Notre Dame last year that it doesn't matter who you lose to early on, that like nobody's out of the playoffs until they're really out of it. But I have a hard time believing the rest of their schedule with their resumes and their 3 losses would be enough to put them at an at-large bid in the playoffs. Because remember, they do not have an auto bid as an independent member without a conference. And for USC, obviously, a lot has been said about Lincoln Riley this year. A lot has been said about this offseason and the transition to the Big Ten and the kind of offense and football and culture that they want to build and establish there at USC. This game would go a long way into doing that, as well as obviously bolstering their college football playoff hosts. But they got tough schedule ahead all of a sudden. Nebraska, Iowa, Oregon, dare I say UCLA to end the season might be a tough one. Boy, oh boy. But listen, I like USC to cover here. I'm not. I expect Notre Dame to win barely, but I think it'll be a close football game, 4-quarter game. I think a little bit more low scoring than people think because the defenses will show up. Give me USC plus 9.5. I'll take Notre Dame to win.
I'll fade you here. I'll take Notre Dame to cover, and again, not feel really good about that. I'm still not sure. Like, I think we've seen the athleticism of this front seven, right? But like, is there level of physicality that they're going to be required to play for in this game? Is it going to match? Right? Is it going to be good enough? Right? You have Gentry, Lucas, Shelby. Like, those are wildly athletic players. I mean, USC's what, top 5 in the country in sacks accumulated this year? I mean, they are top 10. Excuse me. They're getting after quarterbacks right now. Getting after it. Does that put CJ Carr, under a lot of pressure? It's not CJ Carr's first time playing against an athletic defensive line that's going to want to get after him, right? Like, this dude is ready. CJ Carr looks good. He's dealt with the pressure. They're battle tested. He's played some tough games. He looks awesome, and these running backs just keep looking better week by week. This offensive line is looking better week by week. This Notre Dame defense, I think, still has a lot to prove, for sure, which it's going to have to against this USC team that's going to want to be chucking the ball down the field with Jaden Mayava playing elite football. And even with some of the injuries to this offense for USC, it is still dangerous as long as Lincoln Riley's calling the plays as well. But I think I'm going to roll with the Fighting Irish here in this spot. And CJ Carr and co, along with Marcus Freeman, like you said, wounded animal mode, backed into a corner. I mean, to them, it's just a bigger game. It's a bigger deal to them. It's at home, making USC travel to the Midwest. We've seen the issues of teams having to travel to and from the coast to the Midwest, like all season we've seen the impact. I think it rears its head again in this one. I think Notre Dame gets it done. LSU going to Nashville to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is favored in this game by 2.5 points. What a world we're living in right now. What a world we're living in. And honestly, pretty good line, if I had to say so myself. This LSU offense has struggled. And Vanderbilt is coming off of a bye after, a pretty tough loss to an Alabama team that is surging, certainly right now. But yeah, you've still got Diego Pavia, right? You've still got Cedric Alexander, who, by the way, maybe most underrated running back in the SEC. A defense that has some more dogs on it than you've seen in recent years. CJ Hurd being a dog. And then LSU, while you're playing defense at a top 10 level, what is going on with their offense, CD? Like, what is it? What is it right now?
I'm having a hard time figuring that out. Honestly, I keep expecting to see a different result every week, and I keep buying into LSU. I'm like waiting for it, because this defense is legit. The coaching staff, I really appreciate. I do like the quarterback, especially the experience and the arm talent there, as well as there's some talent too in that wide receiver and pass catching core. And Caden Durham, high recruit, good football player, talented football player, at least. I think the offensive line is having some troubles. Obviously, Aaron Anderson, need to get him back healthy. He's a difference maker for them. Some of their portal guys like Nick Anderson, Baron Brown have not worked out for you. Xavier Thomas, I feel like they leaned on him too much the couple weeks there, and then obviously for Ole Miss, didn't work out for you. Tradas Green and that emergence at tight end was awesome to see. You ran the ball better with Caden Durham. Yes, you only put up 20 points, but listen, like 20 points in this football game might win you that. And South Carolina, not a bad front there that they have defensively, and they're going to kind of muck up the football game anyways with their style of play. Nussmeier had 2 turnovers. That cannot happen, right? That cannot happen again. If you want to get a win here, you also had a turnover, right, with a fumble. So, like, you cannot be turning the ball over like that against Vandy on the road. You talked about them being favorites. When was the last time we've seen Vanderbilt in a ranked matchup being favored in the SEC? This is awesome. This is really awesome. Hoping they get Cedric Alexander more involved. 4 touches, 4 carries was not enough. They only ran the ball, 15, 17 times, or 6 times with running backs. Like that is not good enough. I know
now they do that shovel pass thing.
Yes,
they do that shovel pass thing. So there's a few more carries that are not documented for sure. Or carries, they're receptions, but they're carries basically for all purposes.
It's still that ratio is something that I don't think I like, and I don't think the coaching staff there in Nashville appreciates too. And you go back to that Bama game, like healthy Jam Miller got back and got after you, right, for Vanderbilt. You have to stop the run, because if LSU gets going on the ground and you give Nussmeier time to throw, you don't have him where he's panicking or he's in tough situations, whatever it may be, and this offense can get in rhythm and string together first downs. Like, that's where you get in trouble here if you're Vanderbilt. Listen, call me crazy. I'm going to go back to the well here. I think Vanderbilt's a good football team. I really do. I like LSU in this spot. It's so hard for me to see them and points. The same thing happened for me against Ole Miss, and it bite me in the butt. Going on the road here against Vanderbilt, I still got faith in them. I think their defense can do enough. They had a bye week a couple weeks ago, so they're a little bit more fresh, at least with their legs, and that coaching staff can get ready for this run here that they have. I'll go LSU plus 2.5.
So we saw this Alabama secondary against this Vanderbilt team. All right, let's assume, and there's arguments to be had, but let's assume that Alabama has the best secondary in the country. All right, there's arguments to be had for other schools, obviously, but let's just say that that's the best one. Let's say it's the best one in the SEC. All right, where is LSU's secondary? If Alabama's 100, right, and Arkansas is 0, where are we putting LSU in the Arkansas to Alabama scale in terms of their secondary? Because they have some dudes back there. They hit. Something that they haven't done in past years is hit in the secondary in the transfer portal. It seems like they've done that.
And they got that true freshman, DJ Pickett, playing good football as well. Like, I got to have them 85, 90, depending on the week. Like, if they're getting the kind of pass rush that they got last week, yeah, absolutely. Right up there, not too far below Alabama. Something that could give Vanderbilt fits.
Certainly, right? Like if you're not generating explosive plays, like that's something Vanderbilt just eats up, right? Eats up. And if you have this really nice athletic core on the back end, by the way, athletic, experienced, right? I mean, Cooley, Mansur Delane, AJ Halsey. I mean, it is a very, very, yeah, it's a very veteran group back there. So I think I'm with you here. I'll take LSU plus 2.5, and I'll take them to win. I don't feel particularly good about that. You don't like having to go to Vanderbilt against this coaching staff. You don't like having to bet against Diego Pavia. And obviously, we're not betting this. This isn't part of our best bet segment. But Vanderbilt, quite frankly, just looks better as a team, right? But I think you and I are both kind of playing this projection game. We're like, okay, like this, we know what this LSU team is and can be, and I don't think that this Vanderbilt defensive line, while I do have to acknowledge it's better than it's been in the years past. I don't think it's going to take advantage as much of this LSU offensive line, which you've had pretty not great tackle play after, of course, lots of folks believing that it'd be okay losing Will Campbell and John Emery, to the NFL. Like, and just, we're totally going to be able to replace him with, Tyree Adams and whatnot, like at these tackle spots. No, I don't know that it's that easy, right? Josh Thompson's a dog, right? But he's a guard right now. So those tackle spots are an issue. Can Vanderbilt take care of that? Maybe. I mean, they had 4 sacks on Ty Simpson and 9 pressures. Like they can still find a way to get after. They can get creative. Clark Lee with his hands calling the plays on defense, like is a big deal. And I don't think people understand like how big of a deal that is. Like if for some reason he was fired a couple years ago, like he'd be getting paid a lot of money somewhere to be a defensive coordinator. So, but with that being said, I think LSU gets it done here. I really do, but not. I don't feel great about it. Like I understand this line, CD, being what it is. I really do. Georgia Tech goes to Duke. Duke is a favorite in this one. 1.5 points. I mean, I'm scratching my head looking at this one a little bit. I guess Georgia Tech has had some, we'll call them situations. Like they haven't looked amazing in every single game, and obviously we know that Clemson, in hindsight, at least early on in the season, isn't the Clemson team that we're used to seeing. Duke's getting a little bit hot right now, and they quite frankly have one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC right now. They're hurling the ball. Manny Diaz is a fantastic coach. I mean, Duke certainly has a chance here, don't they? I mean, they're favored.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like I said, like why is Duke favored? Because they're a good football team. Like I think it's as simple as that. And Georgia Tech too, for being undefeated, for being ranked high in the AP. Like their resume, their college football, their profile as a power rating that Vegas uses to make these lines is not quite as strong as you would typically see from an undefeated team in the AP top 15. Doesn't mean that they're not a good football team. Here's what I'll say, a little tidbit. Good thing for Georgia Tech, man. Brent Key as an underdog in the ACC, whole heck of a lot better than he is as a favorite in the ACC. We talked about it, Matthew and I, where like Georgia Tech's going to get got by somebody like that they shouldn't get got to, right? Duke right now favored that football game. I think it's awesome. Also, too, like what I like about Georgia Tech, and I'm going to take them in this game. I'll say why. First of all, like it's obviously not a trap game. Like you're not favored, so great. Like easy preparation week for Georgia Tech to be locked in and have Brent Key have those boys humming. But Duke also like got physically outplayed by Illinois and by Tulane, right? If you remember that, like that's how Georgia Tech makes their money. Not only did Jake Ratzlaff get his stuff through the air and big plays through the air, but like he ran the ball well himself. And if Jake Redshoff's going to run the ball well against Duke, you damn well believe Haynes King will as well. He was super efficient last game out. I talked about the game. I thought about that game against Virginia Tech as a potential, like, yeah, you know what? I know Virginia Tech's had a bad season. They got, interim coach, all that kind of stuff, but this could be a spot here. And Georgia Tech looked fantastic. They ran the ball extremely well. Haynes King was 20 of 24 with no interceptions, extremely efficient. They played good defense as well. It was awesome. It's a good football team here in Georgia Tech. I'm going to take them plus the points and feel pretty good about it. Not a best bet of mine, but feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, I don't feel as good about it as you do. I mean, if you look back at this season so far at games where Georgia Tech has struggled, all right? And I'll say struggled, meaning like they did not perform as well as they should have. They underperformed in that game. Because obviously they beat Clemson, right? That was an overperformance relative to the Vegas line. They covered against Virginia Tech. The games in which they did not cover, Colorado, where actually they did, but barely. And then Wake Forest. Both of those games were on the road. And both of those games were pretty tight games there in the fourth quarter against teams that I thought you should have worked. Against teams that I thought you should have worked. So yeah, going on the road here, even to this Duke environment, which isn't heralded as one of the best in college football, it is still going to be a challenge for this Georgia Tech football team that hasn't played great on the road up until this point in the season. Now, they're going to be running the ball a whole heck of a lot. They're going to be trying to control this game. But that's what they thought they were going to do against Wake Forest, That's literally what they thought they were going to do against Wake Forest. But then Jamal Haynes got absolutely stuffed. 10 carries for 21 yards against Wake Forest, a team that has been pretty not great this year in a lot of aspects of the game. I'm not necessarily worried about Georgia Tech's defense, but like Duke's offense this whole season, like they're not, like they haven't had a bad game, right? They've had games in which they've turned the ball over, right? Like they did against Illinois. That's kind of why that game was, got out of hand as much as it did. Like I think this Duke football this football team is pretty good. I think there's a solid reason why they're favored. I think if you're a Duke fan, you want to say like this is a different football team. Now on October, when this game gets played 18th, than they were September 13th. I would agree with you because like over the season, like you see teams evolve. Now, do they still have a great secondary? Or do they still have like a shaky secondary? I would argue that maybe. They're finding ways to turn the ball over, right? Particularly in recent weeks. Obviously, Mensa's dealing the ball through the air. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of factors in this game. I don't think it's just as a layup, right, to just take Georgia Tech in this spot. I am going to be with you, though. I do think Georgia Tech is going to find a way. I think Haynes King will find a way. I think that they're going to out-physical Duke. But if you go on the road again like you did against Wake Forest, right, and Jamal Haynes or whoever's carrying the football is averaging 2 yards, less than 3 yards carry, like you are going to have a tough time winning this football game. I think Duke is going to score their points. I mean, like in every game this year. I mean, if it wasn't for the turnovers against Illinois, like they would have put up more points. Like Duke's probably going to put up maybe 30 points this game. Like, are we sure that Georgia Tech is absolutely going to put up 30, 35 points this game? I don't know that for a fact, which is why I'm a little bit more hesitant. But I'm with you. I will take Georgia Tech plus 1.5, and I'll take them to win the game as well. And just not feel as good about it as you do, maybe. I mean, is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's not crazy. I will say Malachi Hosley has been a nice piece for Georgia Tech in the running game. The running back transfer from Penn the past couple weeks has kind of come on strong. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me if Duke puts up points. I still think Georgia Tech can win a game in the 30s. I still feel comfortable about that with the way I think they're going to run the football. Also, too, you go on the road and you can run the football. That helps you a whole heck of a lot. in a lot of different ways, quieting the crowd. I know he's not Duke, whatever, but it's also like getting your defense fresh, all that kind of stuff, kind of dictating the game how you want to play with all that pace and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's not crazy at all. There's a reason why Duke's favored. Like I said, they're a good football team. I think this is Georgia Tech's year, man. This is Brent Key's year. Eyes wide open, looking at the ACC. I don't think they're going to take this one for granted. And they'll get a win here in Durham.
So then, who's the team then that Georgia Tech drops to? Correct? Because we're running out of options here. Like, I don't think it's going to be Syracuse. It could be NC State and Carter Finley. I'm not super confident it'll be a loss. It could be Pitt. November 22nd there, but I don't know. This is definitely a spot they get got. Ole Miss going to Georgia. I mean, I guess both teams not looking spectacular last week, but finding a way to win, right? Trinidad Chambliss playing some good football still, although the Ole Miss football team struggling, at home against a Washington State team in which you were 33.5-point favorites against, right? If no one saw, late in that game, like it was getting scary. It was getting real scary for Lane Kiffin's Rebels there. But Georgia's team, and I kind of went through it, all right, it's week 7, now week 8. What are teams in college football that I've watched this year where I'm like, okay, they can win a national championship, right? And Georgia obviously kept popping into my mind because that's the team you think of, but I'm like, I don't know that what I've seen from Georgia so far this year is indicative at all. It hasn't given me any sort of confidence that this team can win a national championship. And let alone, beat an Ole Miss team that, of course, is still undefeated with an athletic quarterback and a really good coaching staff, a dangerous football team. This is an interesting spot, though. Georgia is, however, favored by 7.5 points. Is that too many points?
It does feel like too many points. Listen, not because I don't believe in Georgia to win this football game. It's more because of how I believe they're going to win the game. I think it's going to be mucked up. It's going to be ugly. It might not look super pretty, and also the backdoor cover is super in play for Ole Miss as well. That line crossed 7, which is massive, pretty quickly. 6.5 right to 7. So I love that. Being a guy that's going to be on Ole Miss at plus 7.5, I'll just say that right now. I think Georgia's defensive line, you have to stop the run. I think if Lane Kiffin, I feel like I say this every video with Lane Kiffin, when he's going and under running the football, this is a dangerous football team. For Ole Miss, Chambliss has been fantastic for them. I know it wasn't brilliant against Washington State and all that. I'm going to kind of throw that result out. We'll see if that matters after this football game, but I don't think that's super indicative of who they are as a team. I think their other body of work against Tulane and LSU a lot more indicative of what they are as a team this year in the SEC. As for Georgia, I do have to give them credit. They won in a tough environment when things were not going right for you. You battled resilience. You made a hell of a play on the goal line. Obviously, say what you want about the refs, and I'm not gonna pretend like that didn't help you in certain spots, but it was a lot of weird extracurricular stuff going on. They kept their head about them. They got a win, late touchdown to make that score look a lot worse than it was. Obviously, much different offense that you're going to play. Much different quarterback that you're going to play this week than you saw at Auburn. It'll be more similar to that first half you saw against Alabama. And that was really tough. You're at home again, which is nice. Backs against the wall a little bit, which is nice. Love to see Kirby and the Bulldogs in that kind of spot there. But let's not remember, they still have a tough little stretch here, right? Ole Miss,
Yeah.
Florida, at Mississippi State is not going to be easy. And then Texas as well, plus Georgia Tech, just for shits and gigs at the end of the season. So there's a lot of stuff in play here. I think for Kirby Smart in Georgia, it's a massive game for him. And obviously Ole Miss, they're undefeated. They're a top 4 team, and they're 7-point dogs on the road. Is crazy. Wouldn't surprise me if Georgia gets a win here, but I expect Ole Miss to cover 7.5. Give me the Rebels. Is that crazy?
No, I'm with you. It's just a lot of points. It's just a lot of points. Now, watching Ole Miss though, like these last couple weeks, they're finding ways to win games, right? Like so, those they're keeping they're finding ways to win them, right? But like it, aside from the Trinidad Chambliss like legacy that he's sort of created this season, like this high level of play that we've come so accustomed to from him, like they've been in some barn burners, man. In some games where they could have stepped on people's throats, like they could have lost the Arkansas game. They probably should have lost the Arkansas game if they didn't fumble late in that football game. Then you also have the Washington State game. Like that was, I mean, there were a lot of things wrong in that game, right? But it never felt like they were going to lose. Yet, it was still pretty scary, man. It still was pretty scary. Like it's not a perfect football team. Neither of these teams are perfect, which is what makes it so difficult picking in this game. I mean, to me, like there's a clear quarterback advantage for Ole Miss, right? I'm not sure that there's like uh, other like position groups where I'm like, okay, like Georgia is going to absolutely dominate, right? This Ole Miss offensive line. I think it'll be tough for Ole Miss to run the football, and like you said, Lane Kiffin's a lot better when he's able to run the football. But just too many points here. Just too many points for a quarterback that looks really, really good this year. And by the way, it's not like Georgia's like the best quarterbacks that they faced so far this year, right? Were Ty Simpson, who threw a pretty decent game. I'd say he played pretty well in that football game. And then Joey Aguilar, who threw for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns. So not to play this transitive property game, but I would like to think that Trinidad Chambliss is in a good position relative to other Georgia teams of the past to have a potentially very good game and make this a ball game and make it close, potentially win it. They're battle tested just like Georgia is, except they've won the close games. And Georgia, I mean, they did win the close game against Tennessee. I mean, if Tennessee makes a field goal, obviously it's a different story. But of course, dropping the game to Alabama, I 7.5 is too many for me, man. Sorry, I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. Sorry, Georgia fans. I could definitely see a world out there where Gunnar Stockton is dealing, right, and they're able to run the football, and Trinidad Chambliss just gets put in a pretzel like nothing he's ever seen before, and this offensive line doesn't hold up, and Kwan Lacey's not able to run the football. Like there are situations in which Georgia can run away with this game, especially like just playing on the road in the SEC is tough in general, right? But yeah, 7.5. Come on, I'll take Ole Miss there.
Yeah, can I say something too about Georgia? Like, and I, so obviously I took Ole Miss here, but there's the more and more I think about them this year, and I'm running through my head like, how is Georgia going to win the national title? Because that's what Georgia fans, that's the expectation, right? And it should be like, to me, they give a little bit of 2024 Notre Dame, right, where they're just like, you've got a fun quarterback that just gives it all on the line and makes the right plays in the right spots. Obviously, like not going to be perfect for you, not going to light up the world, all that kind of stuff. Be a first round pick, but a damn good football player. And you just have like talent everywhere, and like guys make plays in spots, and it's just a lot of fun. Like to me, that which is crazy at Georgia, and with all those weapons you thought you were bringing in, all that kind of stuff, and that defensive line you normally have, like it's just going to be a rinky-dink kind of year almost, and you're going to have to win almost every week with your second pitch, with your changeup, with whatever it may be, with your left hand. So like it will be really interesting to see what kind of game Georgia has in store for us, and like can they play their style of mucking it up and making Ole Miss kind of come down to fight with them and really tussle. Because you get into a heavyweight fight with Georgia and you're on the ground with them, like it's not where you want to be, right? Because they just got dudes, they got coaching, they got will, all that kind of recipe that you have in a championship team. But boy, oh boy, I have a hard time seeing them separating from Ole Miss. That's why I like this one to be a close one.
UNLV is going to Boise State. Undefeated UNLV. mind you, going head to head with the Boise State team that's also undefeated in conference. However, has 2 losses out of conference, right? 1 to South Florida in an absolute walloping first week of the season. And then actually a game that I thought they played pretty well, aside from the Maddox Madsen turnovers. And obviously, like, the offensive struggles were there for Boise State. But in general, I thought they held, like, at least Notre Dame, their passing game, like, in check. Getting off the field in third downs. Of course, penalties had a lot to do with Notre Dame exiting the field on offense. But this Boise State team is pretty decent, right? And by the way, 11.5-point favorites against this UNLV team that is undefeated right now. Granted, you look at some of the, if you're just looking at sniping box scores, right, it's not going to tell the whole story, but you had a 3-point win against Miami of Ohio on the road, 3-point win against Air Force, a 7-point win against a UCLA team that was playing really terrible at the time. You played against a Sam Houston team and, gave up 21 points there to them. And they're not a very good offensive football team at all. So this UNLV team, I mean, it's kind of like the island of misfit toys over there, right? With all these, guys names that you've seen before in powerful football, with Dan Mullen at the helm. I mean, it is impressive right now. Anthony Calandria slinging the pill, Jaden Thomas running the football well. I mean, what are your thoughts, CD, on this game? I mean, this line has me scratch my head, but I'm kind of leaning Boise State.
I am too. I will say I picked against them in a couple dirty dogs. A lot of it was just because I was forced to with the way that the board laid out. Last week, I really like New Mexico and the coaching staff they have there. But Boise State, every time, I feel like they just really impressed me since week one. I think the last time as a national media and a national stage, they were on week one. They got pummeled by South Florida, and people kind of wrote them off. And I was kind of in that too. I was like, you know what? Maybe not this year, the Broncos up there in Boise, but they've just kind of slowly turned around this. They're playing good football, like you said. Defensively is what I've been impressed with. Spencer Danielson, finally getting that defense to really, really hunker down and being one of the better defenses in the Mountain West, which is massive. Because you talked about, you want to V Dan Mullen, they got some dudes on that offense there. Calandria is about as tough as it gets in the Mountain West. Think back to Maeva, Van Dampier, guys like that were just you just hated playing. And anytime they were in a football game, they were giving you chances to win because of how dynamic they are. But Boise State stops the run in this game. I think Dylan Riley, Sire Gaines, guys like that, they get after this UNLV front seven. Maddox Madsen takes care of the football. You obviously have some weapons with Ben Ford, Chris Marshall, former 5-star recruit, Matt Lauder, been there, seems like for forever. I think they get it done here. I think they cover too. Plus home field advantage, sold out crowd, a lot of good stuff here. I think it would take a Dan Mullen legacy, let's go win 43-41 kind of game if you're UNLV. I don't see that happening. I think Boise State takes control of this game early. They're still working for a Mountain West championship game. Obviously, playoffs are still actually on the table. The American could just kind of consume itself. You're going to have some real opportunities to build your resume in the Mountain West with UNLV, with San Diego State playing well as well. You can see them later on. So I think a lot of things are ahead of this Broncos football team. Give me Boise State and the points.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. I mean, this defense for UNLV, it's bad. It's really not good, right? And you look at you just went through all the talent for Boise State. They have loads of it on the offensive side of the ball, right? It's right now as a UNLV fan, where you're grateful to be 6-0, right?
Yeah.
You're grateful that you can hire a guy like Dan Mullen, by the way, to be your head coach after Barry Odom leaves, right? And has more success there than any other UNLV coach ever. And you're missing Jackson Woodyard. You're missing Cameron Oliver. You're missing Jonathan Baldwin. You're missing
Jalen Catalan,
really good football players. Yeah, he's playing. He's playing Power 4 football right now. So like you're missing guys on that defense from just a year ago that made it pretty special. Like it feels like it is a Dan Mullen and Anthony Calandria, Jaden Thomas kind of show right now. That's, I mean, it's what's keeping you in ball games. It's what's winning you ball games. Like you shouldn't be. I don't know the right way to say this other than like you shouldn't be giving up 38 points to Miami of Ohio. You shouldn't be giving up, 31 points to Idaho State. Like you are getting Air Force just did whatever they wanted to on offense in that game. They did whatever they wanted to on offense that game. I mean, you just happened to score last in that football game. That's what happened. You happened to score last. So I don't know. As much as I'm being very critical of that, I am excited for this game. And I think 11.5 points is a lot of points. I'll take Boise State. The thing about this, though, it's like you are going on the road for your boys. Or, sorry, actually, yeah, Boise State gets them at home. I mean, yeah, it's Boise State for me here. And a play on the over was a thought for the best bets. It was a thought. It's kind of a lot of points, though. 62.5. Still feels like it could be a good play. I don't know. That might be something that I take later on in the week, but I mean, it feels like very much an over spot right now, but I don't know. 11.5. Oh, excuse me. Give me Boise State. Old Dominion at James Madison. Oh my gosh. CD. I mean, this game is still going to be cinema, right? What are we doing, man? Dropping a Marshall? I mean, on our Dirty Dogs last week, and that's the 10-point underdogs that you and I draft and predict to win, like, did not expect Marshall as 14.5-point underdogs to put the hurt on Old Dominion, who has been dominant this year. Dominant. Even in the Indiana game. Like that week 1 game against Indiana, the narrative was like, oh, Indiana they lost quite a bit. Seems like, oh boy, is Fernando Mendoza the guy? I mean, like he didn't look great in that game. Like he really did not. And honestly, aside from Oregon, like Old Dominion looked better than I guess Iowa, right? But Old Dominion didn't look bad in that game. And then they continued to show it by putting the hurt right on Virginia Tech, on Liberty, on Coastal Carolina. And they're rolling into this thing like potentially favorites to win the Sun Belt, and then 5 turnovers, man. A Colton Joseph classic last year. After I bet on them so many times last year, it would just be like wild, ridiculous turnovers while you're moving the football effectively down the field. Yeah, wonderful game there from Marshall, who, by the way, loved Tony Gibson. He's 3-3 right now, which is insanely impressive. And you almost beat Missouri State, and you lost to Louisiana in overtime. This is a Marshall team that could be 5-1 right now, with their only loss being to Georgia after their entire roster moving to the other side of the conference. So, incredible work by Tony Gibson there. Maybe Marshall is just better than anyone is giving them credit for. But yeah, that's a tough one to come off of. And you're only 1.5-point dogs to a James Madison team that is humming right now. Humming at 5-1 with some pretty solid wins so far this year, and a Louisville loss in which you kind of shut them down in the first half. And if it wasn't for, an Isaac Brown 78-yard touchdown to kind of put the game away, or the fumble recovery for touchdown, like it was an explosive play fourth quarter that won Louisville that game. Like you were in that football game. So I am, I've been impressed so far with both these teams. This is a massive game in the Sun Belt, of course, because they, of course, both play in the Sun Belt East. So winner of this game is going to set themselves up really nicely for the remainder of the season to put themselves in a position to make the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
Yeah, both these teams, their statistical profile in the Sun Belt is super impressive. We kind of want to narrow in on this game because it matters for like these potentially could be the two best teams in the Sun Belt. We understand the Old Dominion lost last week, but you got like top four in all of total yards allowed, points allowed, rushing, like that kind of like a lot of stuff there. That's really impressive stuff there in the Sun Belt for these two teams and for James Madison. Like this is huge. Like this is huge. Not only do you get some buffer zone for Old Dominion, but you're looking at the conference standings, right? And you're looking at who's in your division, and because we love the Sun Belt, we love our Sun Belt mainly because it has divisions, which is awesome in college football in 2025. What a concept, right? But you get an opportunity to hand Old Dominion a second loss in conference, and also in your division, and you could really push them out and really start separating as like East Division leaders, which is massive for you. You're 3-0 right now, chance to go to 4-0 to kick Old Dominion to 2 losses. Old Dominion is going to be hungry, man. They're going to be really, really hungry. They gave up a ton of rushing yards to Carlos Del Rio Wilson, right, from Marshall, the quarterback there last weekend. And I know Alonzo Barnett's not the running threat that Del Rio Wilson is, or even that Matthew Sluka is. So like look to see Matthew Sluka get some potential more run there. If they want to do some couple quarterback packages, give them some QB run plays to see if you can take advantage of potentially that weakness that they had with the quarterback runs as well. Also, Old Dominion has to commit to running the football better. Colton Joseph is the top passer in the Sun Belt, also fourth in rushing or fifth in rushing, which is crazy. Traquan Jones, the running back, has to also get more touches for Old Dominion. That's something that has to happen on the road as well. It is wild. And for James Madison, too, like they had to outscore Louisiana by 17 nothing in that second half to get a win. They were 18.5 point favorites. Like they're vulnerable, man. This line's 1.5 to a team that just lost by double digits to Marshall. Like it is wild. It is a huge, huge spot here for JMU. Very big that they're at home in this game as well. I'm gonna go JMU, and I hate it. I hate it because Old Dominion and Ricky Ron, like they are a dangerous football team. It seems like every time, sometimes even a danger to themselves, and they're just too good for their own britches. And sometimes you see them throw away games. So don't know what to expect here totally as an outcome here. Very excited to watch good football in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, and what's crazy too about this Old Dominion team, like Jason Henderson, like retiring after brutal, brutal, right? Like, what would this defense look like, with him as an added element, like the injuries, of course, catching up to him, and as a guy that's just an All-American. I mean, so fun to watch. He's gone through it, man. So it's a bummer watching Old Dominion and not seeing him out there, but he had to do what he had to do, which was just walk away from the sport of football with all of his knee issues that he's had. But I'm going to go with Old Dominion here. I do this every time, right? And I buy into Old Dominion, I buy into Ricky Ronnie, and then all of a sudden it falls apart. An interesting dynamic of this game, CD, and obviously it's not actually an interview, right, for the Virginia Tech job, but like both of these coaches, all right,
Yeah.
I'm just saying both these coaches could get some interesting run, right, depending on the outlook of these two teams this season. Both these coaches could get an interesting run at Virginia Tech. Obviously doesn't weigh into this game. Just wanted to throw that out there as an interesting talking point. But I like Old Dominion here. Like, just don't turn the football over. All right. Like, how many times did we go through this last year where you were moving the football very effectively and you just lose the ball? You just give it to them. All right. It's a big sack, a strip sack. It's an interception, right? Cole Joseph, just take care of the football. And I think you guys can win this game. I think Old Dominion has been playing better football than James Madison this year, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Now, James Madison's defense has been quite elite so far this season, like even against like some of the better competition that they've had. But Old Dominion's offense, however elite James Madison's defense has looked, Old Dominion's offense has looked, almost equally as good. And an Old Dominion defense that is much better than what it was last year. They're getting off the field. I mean, I like this Old Dominion team a lot. And I would love it. I would love it if this Old Dominion team was the team that represented the G5 in the college football playoffs. I think that would be spectacular. Even with a loss to Marshall, I just think it'd be fun to watch Colton Joseph and a football team that not a lot of people get the chance to watch, on the national stage. But you and I will be dialed into this, right? The people watching this video will obviously be dialed into this. I don't have a best bet for this game, but I'll be taking Old Dominion per our predictions, plus 1.5 against this James Madison team. Alabama at Tennessee. You know what that means? It's the third Saturday in October against a Tennessee team that, aside from their secondary issues, this is a team that I like a lot. This is a team that I like a lot. And I did not say that in the preseason. It was a team that I had serious concerns about. But man, when that secondary gets healthy, boy, watch out. Like, this is a game. If Tennessee wins this one, and they all of a sudden get healthy in the remainder of the season, what will that team do to some folks? They'll scare some teams, I'll tell you that.
Is two good football teams here, two really good football teams here. Obviously, a bit of rivalry. It's crazy enough because it seems crazy the last 15 years to say this. Tennessee has won 2 out of the last 3 games in this rivalry. Obviously, you won last year in Bryant Denny a couple years ago with Hendon Hooker, and it's an all-time classic in Neyland. Now you're back in Neyland as 8-point dogs, or what, 7.5? We'll be picking it at just crazy here. It is hard to make an evaluation of Tennessee. I think I will say I had a hard time pivoting to them because I was looking at their roster and looking at their situation and everything that happened in the offseason, and I'm like, I see the schedule and I see it laying just a total layup for you, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? How good is Tennessee going to be? Are they going to take advantage of it? And this is a good football team. This is better than I thought they were going to be. They win in a lot of different ways. Joey Aguilar has hit the ground running. It's been a slam dunk with his fit with Josh Heupel and this offense there. They are putting up crazy points. Now, obviously, points and yards and all that kind of stuff. Some that's inflated with some of your out-of-conference schemes, but also, we saw it. We saw it in games, when you needed it against Arkansas, when you saw it against Georgia, in an all-time classic game there. I think this is going to be a really good football team. Really good football game. I got Tennessee +8 at home. I have a hard time seeing that. Bama also, this is going to be their 3rd straight game having to get up against a good 4th straight game. 4th straight game having to get up against a good quality opponent in the SEC. When do the wheels fall off for this Alabama football team? Can Kane Womack continue to ball out? A guy that was ready to be shipped away. Bama fans ready to just kick him down the road, and he has been fantastic the past couple of weeks since that bye. Can Bama run the football without Jam Miller? Is Jam Miller going to play? Being a concussion protocol. And then lastly, too, who would have thought, these two quarterbacks, Joey Aguilar, Ty Simpson, a couple positions that Tennessee's quarterback room, Alabama's quarterback rooms were a massive, massive talking point for one reason or the other in the offseason here in the SEC. And these are two of the best, the very best quarterbacks, not only in the SEC, but in the country, the way they've been playing. I got Tennessee +8. I think Bama will squeak out a win because I think there's a lot of resilience on this football team, but I think it'll be a really, really close game.
Yeah, I'll let you pick that at 8.5. I think I said 7.5 earlier. I meant 8.5. I'll let you pick that at 8.5 just because there's a lot of 8.5s out there. We don't want to push. We pushed last week when we had Missouri, Alabama. We were picking that game at 3. None of that BS. All right, none of that BS. I'll be with you on Tennessee +8.5. It's gonna be a light show here. It really is. Ty Simpson here, I think can light up this Tennessee secondary. And
If he
what's
has time.
crazy, yeah, if he has time, right? And he has, a lot of time. Like he has. I think he actually has like it's like 2.9 or 3 seconds time to throw this year, which is one of the longest times to hold on to the football in the entire country, or well, specifically in the SEC, but also in the country amongst qualified quarterbacks. Of course, there's some weird outliers, but yeah, I mean Tennessee gets after it, dude. 26 sacks on the year
That's what I'm saying.
is bonkers. All right, they forced some fumbles, right? Is Ty Simpson going to have some strong hands? And by the way, like games where he's gotten pressured quite a bit, I mean Ty Simpson will go down. He will go down. His pressure to sack rate isn't like the worst, but he got rocked against Florida State, 4 sacks. Vanderbilt, another 4 sacks. I think there's a good chance that they get to Ty Simpson here, of course. But the big matchup to watch is like these Tennessee receivers against this Alabama secondary. Like, what is going to happen there? Like, what is going to happen there? And also 4 sacks against Missouri allowed. So, like, say you're going to have 4 sacks, right? But what can this Tennessee receiver room do against this Alabama secondary? Obviously, Damani Jackson, like, taking a seat, in some of this game and watching Dejon Lee, play over. Like, while this Alabama secondary has been really, really good, it still has a couple kinks that's got to work out, in that cornerback spot. But yeah, what happens if Chris Brazzell just like goes nuclear? What if Mikey Matthews is just Mike Matthews a dog again? Uh, I don't know, man. I'm looking at this. I don't know what to think of like what this wide receiver room is going to look like against that secondary. But yeah, 8.5 points is a lot. Also, Tennessee showed the ability to run the football last week as well. Now, who hasn't against that Arkansas team? But yeah, there's a lot to like about both these teams, man. And I think I texted you a while back. I was like, man, well, one, I was wrong about this Tennessee team. Two, like if they do get healthy in the secondary and like they have enough wins, like by the time they get healthy to like still be in the conversation for the college football playoffs, like what are the chances that this team, like this Tennessee team, I mentioned earlier, Alabama being a national championship contender for sure. Like if Tennessee wins this football game on the road
At home.
and they get healthy in the secondary later on this season, like, sorry, but what are the odds that this team can win a national championship? I mean, it goes through the roof. Their stock goes through the roof, in my opinion.
Especially
if
with
Jermon
that
McCoy,
schedule.
I know he's still not medically cleared. If Ricky Gibson can get back too, I mean, like, Tennessee fans, I know y'all are hurting with those guys out of the lineup because of those injuries that they've had for a while now. Like, they've been out for a while. I like Tennessee to be a national championship contender if they win this football game. Utah at BYU, the Holy War, as it is rightfully called. BYU plus 3.5 right now at home. I mean, we've seen some classics in this game. I love that this rivalry is being reintroduced with this new Big 12 look. I love the fact that we get to see these guys play all the time, and that rivalry gets heated. I know a lot of the fans that are going to be watching this are BYU and Utah fans. You guys like know, but like for those that are not Utah or BYU fans watching this, you have to know that this is one of the most intense rivalries in college football. And I know it's specific because it's very regional, but it is very intense. You got a BYU team that's undefeated right now in conference and 6-0 overall. And you got a Utah team that's 5-1, 2-1 in conference, with their only loss being to Texas Tech. A Texas Tech team that really didn't pull away into the fourth quarter because that was a 10-3 ball game heading into the fourth quarter. And that Texas Tech team, we've talked about it, potential national championship contender, which is wild to say. So yeah, Utah was in a game in the fourth quarter with a national championship contender just a couple weeks ago. So I get why they're 3.5-point favorites against this BYU team that's undefeated right now. BYU coming off of a game against Arizona in which it went to overtime. That's an Arizona team that I think is a little bit better than maybe I thought, and I think everyone thought was going to be this year. Brent Brennan, I think he's a solid coach. I think Arizona fans and myself were maybe a little bit quick to judge the results of his first season. So, CD, where are we at with this game?
Yeah, I mean, BYU is obviously the ranked team in this spot here, but Utah is no slouch. I mean, we talked about their only loss. I guess they're ranked. They got ranked this week, but like they got embarrassed by Texas Tech in the second half. But also like Texas Tech, they kind of leaned on them. Dampier was kind of missed some throws. You had like the weird callback, with Fano going down the field, and that kind of totally changed the momentum of that football game. Listen, it's you talk about the Holy War. Like this game is hard to predict. It's hard to feel strongly one way or the other because it's always going to be so close. It's going to be so tough for either of these two teams to get a win here. I think Utah is a good football team. Like a good football team. I know BYU, has been okay. Actually, pretty darn good this year. They got some talent. You had some weird stuff going on with your quarterback situation with Retzlaff sending him off. Bear Bachmeier has been about as good as you could have asked for a guy, a young kid to come in and step in and play big time football for you for a contending team in the Big 12. It's about as good as you want it to go. Obviously, statistically, like these two teams are about as good as they come offensively and defensively, playing complementary football. Um, BYU, though, when they have gotten to conference, they have started to give up a little bit more defensively than I think they would have liked to. Utah has stayed pretty stout. I understand their conference wins outside of Texas Tech a little bit less in like West Virginia and Arizona State without Sam Leavitt, like not quite as impressive as you'd want that to be. John Henry Daly is a star, man. I cannot believe more people are not talking about him. A couple forced fumbles, 8 sacks, defensive end there for Utah. He's an in-state kid, so this game means something to him as well. Look forward to seeing him. A healthy Devin Dampier. We know they like to get him moving in and out of the pocket, running the football, throwing the football, getting him involved, and making him a focal part of that offense. You've got some really talented players out wide for Utah this year. You haven't really had in the past. It's going to be a tough environment, man. You're favored by 3.5. I think that line's about right. I like Utah probably closer to a touchdown. I expect them to win this football game, but boy, oh boy, we know better than anybody. Like this game can go either way, no matter what the score, no matter what the teams are playing, no matter what the records are. It's always going to be a good one. But I like Utah on the spot. You're on mute there. Uh-oh.
Mute button absolutely deleted me right there. Uh, Daly, like you were talking about, stud player, right? 28 pressures on the season, obviously 8 sacks, like you talked about. BYU's got some dudes on the defensive side of the ball that you like. Isaiah Glasker, dog. Got some solid corners. They've been turning the football over quite a bit this year. They've shut down the run for most games. You talked about Utah's in conference schedule. I'm not going to go over and look at BYU's in conference schedule and be like, oh my gosh, that's so much. Their wins are so much better, right? It's West Virginia, Colorado, and then Arizona on the road in an overtime win. Like that, that's a good win right there. I mean, BYU being battle tested, that's going to help you in this football game. That's absolutely going to help you. Being at home, I think that's also a big deal, man. You just never know. Like, you just never know with this football game, in this rivalry, like what's going to happen. Like, whatever team you think is better, just throw it all out the window. Okay. I think like whenever you're picking this game, it actually just is genuinely a toss up. Uh, I'll go with Utah reluctantly. I I don't even think that the coaching staff is necessarily that much better. I mean, I do think the Utah coaching staff is phenomenal, and Kyle Whittingham been a stud there for years now. I think that there's a quarterback advantage. I think defensively they have a couple more playmakers that I like on that side of the football. Um, I just think like on paper and from what I've seen with my eyes, I like this Utah team a little bit better. Although I can say I didn't know if BYU was going to be able to do it again. Right? Remember Kalani Sitake was on the hot seat last year? Like going into last year? Isn't that nuts? What a job he's done here these last 2 years. Getting the coaching staff hires right and getting some players in the building that have developed into some really nice, talented football players. So I do like what BYU's done this year. I like what BYU did last year. But I'll still take Utah minus 3.5, even on the road. Scary. Should you almost should It should be mandatory to take the home team in this game, but I don't know. I can't help but pick Utah in this spot. I'm sorry. Let's head over to the best bets. Thanks for tuning in for our previews. Those are the 8 games that we previewed, of course. If you've gotten this far, would appreciate a like or potentially subscribing. If you've already made it this far and you haven't subscribed, that's on you, honestly. Look, we do this every week. We're going to have a lot of stuff for this entire season. We do one of the best jobs covering bowl season. No one out here is hitting dirty dogs at the level that we're hitting them, so would appreciate a like and, of course, subscribing. Now, to recap last week, CD, you didn't fire off that many bets. You went 1-3. That's okay. Oh well, right? I fired off quite a bit of bets. I think I fired off 8. And we went 5-2-1 right there. Southern Miss pushing. So I feel pretty good with where I'm at right now. We're getting better as the season's going along, which is not normally the case. Normally these things get sharper as we go. But I'm less confident this week, CD. I've only got 4 bets for us this week. How many do you got for us?
I got 5.
Okay. All right, so that's gonna be 9 bets for us this week. I guess I'll let you start because you got more than I do.
Yeah, so I'm kind of going back to the well here a couple times. What's worked, what hasn't worked. I'll start off. It's a Friday night game, actually. Going to Dinkytown, Minneapolis, in Minnesota. So Nebraska at Minnesota. I like Nebraska. I can get it at 7.5. I would have loved to get that at like 4.5 when it opened, but unfortunately, as we're recording, line's kind of shifted. I'll take the line that I got right now. Still like that there. Don't think Minnesota's very good. I think Riley will have his way, and I think Minnesota will struggle again to run the football, which has been a real problem. If they are not running the football well, it's not a good football team under PJ Fleck. Give me Nebraska minus 7.5.
I like that a lot. You're betting on Purdue. Last week worked. Your Minnesota team total the week before that underworked. Yeah, you got a good pulse on this Minnesota team. So I like you in that spot. I'll go with the total here. Memphis UAB over 63.5. Trent Dilfer fired. Players are now playing for transfer portal film right now. They're going to put on some nice film right now. And not to mention their defense is terrible. All right. Memphis' defense has been a lot better this year than it has been the last few years. But Memphis might put up 50 points alone. Can UAB put up a 20 burger? I think they possibly could. Their offense is not terrible. It's not terrible. So over 63.5. I know that's ambitious, but UAB overs until the wheels fall off, like they did for Trent Dilfer.
I love it. I love that there. I'll go to the ACC here. North Carolina goes to Berkeley, to Cal. That line is at 10 right now. So give me Cal minus 10. They got a good quarterback there. It's a better football team than I think people give them credit for. They lost to San Diego State. San Diego State's a good football team. I think they're in the Mountain West. UNC, I think, is a team that just not doing well right now. I'll go Cal minus 10. Justin Wilcox fighting for his job.
I'm not going to pretend like I've had a great pulse on Cal this year. Like a little inconsistent for me. So a little too rich for me right there, but I see where you're going with that one. I don't mind fading North Carolina ever. So good luck to you in that spot. I'll go with North Texas minus 4 against UTSA. I think it's a bounce back spot for the Mean Green. I think UTSA is playing pretty decent right now. But give me Mestamaker, man. At home. Look, stadium's not going to be bumping as much as it was last week. All right. The team still has a lot to play for right now. Like, they can still make an American championship, right? If the cards fall the way that they potentially could. That requires them winning a lot of football games, though. And it starts here. So give me North Texas minus 4.
It feels like a great spot for both teams to kind of regress back to what we think they are. That was a weird outcome there in Denton last week. A lot of turnovers, a lot of quick changes, explosive plays, stuff like that. Don't hate that at all for you, North Texas. I really thought about that. I do worry a little bit about a letdown after a tough, back-breaking loss there against South Florida. But listen, that's a good football coach there, a good team as well. Don't hate that at home as well. Go to the MAC. Central Michigan at Bowling Green, under 43.5. I know it's not a crazy high line, but the reality is I don't think either offenses are very good. Bowling Green's defense is pretty darn good. You saw them somehow beat Toledo, but that was just a lot of fluky stuff going on there. They still didn't put up a ton of yards. I don't expect them to repeat that kind of outcome. I expect a game in the teens in the MAC. I know unders in the MAC are frowned upon and whatever, but listen, it's different here. It's not November yet. It's Saturday game. Feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and you're over there in Mac country. So you're the one with the Mac pulse for us right now. So I'll trust you on that one. I'm going to go with UCF minus 7. I don't feel great about this one relative to my other best bets, but boy, any team playing against West Virginia that's getting a touchdown or less will be having my money. All right. They can have my money. So while UCF isn't the best football team out there, they haven't really looked that bad, and they get them at home. West Virginia is in serious stink alert. Obviously, Rich Rod, I don't think his job is on the line or anything, obviously. It's just his first year, but it is very bad. Injuries plague them right now. It's really bad news. So, is this the game that UCF gets caught sleeping and I get made like a fool, like when I so happily took Penn State minus 25.5 against UCLA? Could my pants get dropped once again? I don't know. But I like UCF minus 7 right there regardless.
Yeah, that's not a bad recipe there. Going against West Virginia right now. I'll go to Big Ten here. Purdue at Northwestern as a road team. I'll take Purdue plus 3.5. Listen, I think they're genuinely better than Northwestern. I do not expect. I know it's a weird stadium. I think Purdue's getting it right. They're going to get a win here in the Big Ten. Barry Odom's first Big Ten win will come this weekend in Evanston. Let's go Boilermakers. I don't know. I was impressed with Purdue last weekend. I took them. I thought they'd cover against Minnesota. They should have won as almost double-digit underdogs. So give me Purdue plus 3.5.
Yeah, I like that too. I think Barry Odom's doing a good job so far out there. That's a tough job. That's a tough job to have in the Big Ten, and to come in there with what he had, with the cabinets completely bare. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think he could definitely get his first Big Ten win this weekend. I'm gonna stay in the Big Ten. My last play of the week. Give me Michigan and Washington. First half under 24.5 points. Washington getting off to some slow starts. Their defense also looking pretty good so far. Michigan, no Justice Haynes, not being able to get those explosive run plays that they want necessarily. Bryce Underwood, not looking like the best quarterback in the Big Ten right now. I like the prospect of this first half being under 24.5 points, as long as there are, fingers crossed, no backbreaking turnovers that turn into points.
Yeah, like I think that's super surgical. You told me that off air. I was like, that's freaking awesome. I love that play there. I think it makes a ton of sense. Plus, very fun there, rooting in that first half, watching that game. I think it makes a ton of sense. Last one I have here will be in the Sun Belt. Texas State Bobcats at Marshall. After Marshall's huge win, give me Texas State -2.5. I think it's a good football team. Brad Jackson, GJ Kinney, they can put up points there. I expect them to win. Obviously, at least a field goal. I expect them to go into Marshall and put up some points and get a win against Tony Gibson, Tony G, and a Thunder and Herd.
And we talked about the Thunder and Herd a little bit earlier. They're an interesting football team right now. But I do think that I think Texas State's better. I do. So I like that. I like that play from you right there. And are they coming off a bye too, Texas State? I'm unsure about that. But I actually like the Bobcats there as well. 2.5. Yeah, I like that, man. I don't know why I wasn't on that, to be honest.
No, they lost in overtime.
I think it was just.
I watched that game. They lost
maybe
in
just
overtime to Troy. It's great.
That's right. That's right. And they had a backbreaking loss the week before.
Arkansas State.
Jalen Rayner finding a way, man. So that's interesting. I think Texas State is better than those two losses will indicate. So I like that for us. So that's our 9 bets. We're doing all right so far in the year. We'll just we'll keep rolling with that. We're gonna move over to the Dirty Dogs. If you don't know what that is teams that CD9 draft. We each get 2 teams that are 10-point or greater underdogs on the week, and we call them the Dirty Dogs because they are dirty. And guess what? We have been hitting at a pretty decent rate so far this year. I'm 4-10. If you were to tail these as like straight up picks, you'd be up 6.95 units. For you, you're 3-11. You'd be up 1.55 units. Like we are hitting. It is a combined like over 8 units. 8.5 units on the dot that you'd be up if you were tailing our Dirty Dogs. So, boy, we're doing well this year. We didn't catch any last week, but this week that could change. It's not as dense of a board as we've seen in past weeks, but I do kind of like what potentially we got here. And because I was the last person to hit a Dirty Dog, I will be the one drafting first. And with the first pick, I will be taking Coastal Carolina plus 320 against Virginia. I know it sounds crazy. Coastal Carolina hasn't been incredible this year.
Coastal Carolina at App State.
Sorry, at App State. Wow, they already played Virginia this year and got walloped.
I was like, I think I tried that one.
I think you tried that one week 1 this year. But yeah, App State, I mean, they're a pretty good football team. They've looked good the last couple weeks, all right? But they're so gettable, man. That's too many points, all right? I'm not putting on a best bet, but plus 320 for a Coastal Carolina team to go into App State and win? I don't know. That was my most obvious Dirty Dog of the week, for sure. So I like Coastal Carolina here, plus 320 as the first Dirty Dog.
Yeah, why not? I mean, in the Sun Belt too, like the difference in talent level between Coastal and App State is like not drastic amount. Like you can absolutely make that up with a couple bounce of balls here, a couple good third down stops, whatever it may be with Coastal. So I like that a lot there. I was definitely considering that My number one pick actually is going to be NIU at Ohio. Give me NIU plus 350, right? A big spot there for NIU. I think it's a well-coached football team. Thomas Hammock has done an incredible job there. They kind of like to muck it up. Ohio, not really, I think, comfortable playing that kind of football. We saw that a couple weeks ago with Ball State, and they get a loss there in Indianapolis. They come back, obviously, off a bye, hungry, yada, yada, yada. I understand that. Brian Smith, get him humming, back in MAC championship mentality. But listen, NIU is going to give him a tough shot here. 11.5 plus 350 seems like a lot for me. Seems like good value to take the Huskers. They gave SDSU, San Diego State, a real shot. And some other teams here too. So give me NIU plus 350.
I like it. I mean, MAC teams on Dirty Dogs, dude, just pay out so nice. They pay out so nice. Although I do like that Ohio team. I don't know what's been happening with them, but yeah, I can see it there. I'm going to get a little bit stinkier here, a little bit dirtier. Give me Washington State plus 610. Now they're playing Virginia. Sorry, Virginia was just on my mind for this one. And look, Virginia's good. They have a lot of things to look forward to this season. They got Chandler Morris playing some good football right now. But Jimmy Rogers is a good coach. All right. And while Washington State got, I'd say, clobbered, right, by North Texas earlier this year, they got spanked in a couple of games this year. But were they starting the right quarterback at the beginning of the year? I would argue no. Zevi Ekos, I think, has been playing better football so far. They gave Ole Miss all you can handle. This isn't recency bias to me. This is like, I really just don't know how many other 10-point underdogs that are left on the board that I actually like. This is not a lock by any means, but yeah, I'll take Washington State plus 610 in this spot.
It's not a bad dart throw at all, especially them playing better football. Obviously, you worry a little bit about the travel situation, going to Mississippi, coming back to Washington, going all the way across the country to Virginia. But listen, yeah, Jimmy Rogers, good football coach. They got some things working there. Why not? Why not too? Virginia also, yeah. Why not? Why not there? I'm gonna go pretty darn stinky here. One that would be a massive payout. Plus 1,800 is the money line. 27.5-point dogs. Michigan State on the road at Indiana in Bloomington. America's team right now. Everyone is on them, and I understand why. And I'm not saying Michigan State's a better football team than Indiana. I'm not discrediting Indiana or anything. I think Indiana's fantastic. They can win a national title. They are one of the 5 best teams in the country right now. That is amazing. But listen, these are 18 to 22-year-old kids. Like, you see a lot of this stuff, like, their lives changed as soon as they stepped off that field in Eugene after a win there. How do they handle it? Michigan State, on the other hand, too, embarrassed a couple weeks in a row now, it feels like. They need to get it together. Aiden Childs can play a good football game. Also, if you are Jonathan Smith, Joe Ross, a couple of those coaches in East Lansing, you look east, and you see what happened there in State College and Penn State, and you understand that you are not safe at your job either. The carpet could get pulled out right from underneath you as well. You got to buckle down, and maybe you stay an extra hour. Maybe you put that extra work in, and maybe you come up with a damn good plan. A Joe Rossi legacy game defensively to stop Fernando Mendoza. Aiden Childs, put the team on his back kind of game against Indiana. Why not? A plus 1,800. Let's have some fun here. Go Spartans this week.
I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, plus 1,800 would make you set for the rest of the year. And we could guarantee basically that the Dirty Dogs will have been positive on the year. Yeah, that'd be nuts. I mean, what a letdown spot that would be. What a call from you. What a job saver. You know, I don't think Jonathan Smith should be on the hot seat, but I know that Michigan State fans expect more. But who knows? Like with the coaching environment that is today's college football, who knows?
But also think rationally if you're Michigan State, like, understand where you sit in the pecking order when you got Penn State and maybe Florida, maybe Auburn, maybe Wisconsin, a lot of other schools opening up. Give yourself a year. See what happens next year if you can't get it right. Also, too, a little disclaimer, like early in the week, Florida sitting right there at 10.5 point dogs, or Mississippi State 10.5 point dogs against Florida. That line dropped below 10, so we can't use them. Army and Tulane, that line was at 10. That dropped below into the single digits. So that's some kind of things we got to think about here too when we're picking these games. Why not have a little fun with it? I love the darts we're throwing.
Yeah, I do too. That's going to do it for our week 8 preview. Thanks for tuning in to our 8 games we previewed, our best bets, and our dirty dogs. As always, if you like the content, like the video, simple rule that we have right here. I hope you consider subscribing if you made it this far in the video. We appreciate all the support that we've gotten from you guys throughout whatever. Comment down below. Like, what are some games in the future that you want us to keep an eye on and you want us to preview and talk about? Because we will do them. We will do what you guys say. Because ultimately, we're here to serve you. Because no matter who it is, no matter what team it is, we like talking about college football. So we'd be excited and happy to preview whatever team you guys are fans of. So, see anything for us on the way out?
Yeah, appreciate you guys as always. Hope you're enjoying your college football season. Six conferences. We deep dive into previews. We added a couple more with our best bets and dirty dogs. A lot of fun we're having on this channel. Appreciate you guys sticking around and all the support you give us.
Absolutely. We'll see y'all in the next one.